I'm thinking maybe you and I could partner up.
What does every TV show ranking have in common? Breaking Bad is almost always on top. Even people who haven't seen the show know the premise of the entire story and its characters. Whether it's the countless memes, Better Call Saul, or dozens of awards, everyone can agree that this is one of the best shows of all time. But what makes it so special? We'll first start off with the protagonist, Walter White. He starts the story by having a stable job as a middle-aged high school chemistry teacher with a loving family. But as the audience, we immediately see through Walter that something is wrong. Through Bryan Cranston's incredible performance, we see that Walter is unsatisfied with his life and is having a midlife crisis. This all changes when Walter is diagnosed with cancer and is unable to afford chemotherapy. This is the catalyst of the entire show, and honestly, it works so perfectly. After going with his brother-in-law Hank to see the DEA bust a drug operation, it all clicks for Walter when he sees his former student Jesse Pinkman escaping from the window. In my opinion, this starts the greatest character arc in TV history. We witness his transformation into the infamous Heisenberg. It's a metamorphosis driven by desperation, pride, and a deeply buried ambition. What makes Walter so fascinating is that his arc is not a straight line. It's a roller coaster of morality, ambition, and ego. But what I love about his character is that each decision he makes, every lie he tells, every line he crosses, and every murder he commits brings him further away from the man he once was. And yet, I can't help but root for him even when I know he's in the wrong. But even with Walter White in the mix, I love other characters just as much, and nothing beats Walter's relationship with Jesse. Throughout the entire series, we see the ups and downs of their tumultuous relationship. I feel like the best scene that shows their relationship is this.
You get what you want, right?
Besides Walter, Jesse is also an incredible character in the show. His arc is also extremely sad and compelling. At first, as the audience, I thought he was just a regular small-time drug dealer, but as his life got worse, I immediately knew that this character was peak TV. We see him transform from tragic events in his life, such as the overdose of Jane and the poisoning of Brock. However, I speak for a lot of people that when he killed Gale was such a tense and depressing scene. In the end, when Jesse escapes captivity, it isn't just a physical one, it is an emotional one as well. It was a battle for his soul. But besides for Jesse, we got to talk about Hank Schrader. Walter's brother-in-law, who is a DEA agent, goes through a really heroic transformation. He seems like a loud and kind of clueless agent, but as the show progresses, he then steps up and really digs into the whole Heisenberg conspiracy. We see him slowly and surely get close to cracking the case, but nothing beats the nerve-wracking scene which sums it all up.
Walter White.
You got me.
This isn't the only time Hank was close. Don't forget when he followed Jesse to the RV and was almost about to break in. But the greatest scene with Hank is when he figures out who Heisenberg is, and it is one of the most intense scenes in TV history. Besides Walter and Jesse, I believe Hank's character arc is one of the saddest arcs in the show, and his death in the last season was a sucker punch to anyone watching. And then there's the most annoying character in the show, Skylar White. God damn, almost every time she is on screen, I can't help myself but cringe. I know for a fact that you are thinking about the scene where she sings Happy Birthday to Ted Beneke. Even though Walt and Skylar have some deep and emotional scenes together, I almost never enjoy seeing her on screen. But with every annoying character comes the one and only Saul Goodman, America's best lawyer, and I swear that if you don't think he is the best character, then you need help. He comes into the show at the perfect time at the end of the second season and adds humor and sarcasm to an incredibly dark show. His quick wit and morally flexible approach to the law makes him both entertaining and essential to the story, and unlike Skylar, every time Saul Goodman is on screen, it makes the scene so much better. And the list goes on. Mike Ehrmantraut is the cool, calm fixer who sticks to his personal code of conduct even in a world full of corruption, and who also has a great arc. But the big elephant in the room is Gustavo Fring. the calculated villain who brings intense tension and intrigue to the series with his precise and ruthless approach to the drug trade. But before we continue with Gus, did you realize that Giancarlo Esposito plays so many TV villains? Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic actor, but every time I see him in other shows, such as The Boys or The Mandalorian, I always think of him as Gus and not the character that he is playing. And the only reason for that is the iconic and legendary performance of Giancarlo and the brilliant writing of the show. Even though Tuco is also a great antagonist in the first season, Gus is on a whole different level. Gus's hate for Hector was downright cruel and harsh too. He made sure of Hector's downfall by using his weaknesses against him and setting things up so that Hector was left completely powerless and unable to move. Even though Gus was a big player in the drug business, he managed to keep his illegal activities hidden, looked like a legit businessman, and even catered food to the DEA. However, in the background, he was carefully planning how to get rid of his competition and make sure he was on top of the drug world. But imagine building your drug empire for 20 years, destroying your worst enemy, and then getting taken out by an ex-chemistry teacher.
A crippled little rata. What a reputation to leave behind.
I cannot imagine the thrill the writers felt the day they figured this out, that the only place Gus would drop his guard was when he was so blinded by vengeance towards Hector that he didn't anticipate that his enemies might team up. This is how you kill an antagonist without making them temporarily stupid. But these great characters needed great writing, and Breaking Bad delivers it. Vince Gilligan and his team crafted a story that is both thrilling and deeply emotional. The show is a masterclass in storytelling. Every detail and every plot twist is carefully thought out. It's unpredictable, yet each surprise feels genuinely earned. Take the Fly episode, which really digs into Walt's mind and shows how awesome Gilligan is at exploring characters and storytelling. I know that many people hate it, but I actually really enjoyed it. The writing is so detailed and the build-ups are intense, which makes the show stand out. The way they come up with iconic moments like Walt's final showdown shows how the writers can think on their feet and keep things fresh even when they write themselves into a corner. Now, let's talk about pacing. Breaking Bad takes its sweet time to amp up the tension, and when things really blow up, it's totally worth it. Remember that crazy parking lot shootout with Hank and the twins? It wasn't just an ordinary scene of two bold men trying to kill one of their kind, it was purely sensational, and the slow build-up made the payoff so satisfying. The scene where Hank struggles to load the one bullet with his bloody hands and the twin coming with a dragging axe was so intense. And right before that, when Hank gets the phone call and someone says,
I need you to listen very carefully. 2 men are coming to kill you.
This wasn't the only scene that can put on the fire under your seats. The show is so full of them. What's your favorite scene? Tell me in the comment section. Critics also love how this show takes its time, and I love how Walter always finds a way out of tough spots every time in the most unexpected ways. The slow build-up plus awesome writing makes this episode super tense and satisfying. Breaking Bad mixes quiet, character-focused moments with sudden and intense action scenes, so you're always on the edge of your seat. I really enjoyed the show, not just because of the characters and the thrill, but also because of the cinematography and styling. Breaking Bad is visually stunning, and there is no doubt about it. The way it's filmed is just top-notch, with really cool and experimental shots that are now iconic. Directors like Rian Johnson and Vince Gilligan have created a unique visual style that you can spot right away. Every single frame is carefully thought out, from the cool intro scenes to the POV shots. For example, that famous barrel shot and the bathtub scene have such cool camera angles that make the show feel cinematic. The attention to detail in the scenes was just mind-blowing. Take this famous scene of the death of Gus Fring. He lost an eye, but you can still see the muscles inside his skull moving when he comes out of the room. This attention to detail isn't just in this scene, you can spot it all through the show. And let's not forget the soundtrack. It's so on point, elevating every scene. From the creepy main theme to the awesome song choices, the music is a big part of what makes the show so great. Tracks from artists like Knife Party, Nat King Cole, and Danger Mouse really amp up the show's cool, edgy vibe. The way they picked the music, together with the show's look, just makes Breaking Bad a total sensory experience. Breaking Bad wasn't just a hit, it became a huge deal. This show created tons of memes, parodies, and discussions, making it super popular in pop culture. It's beloved on the internet, praised by critics, and fans can't get enough of it. With over 200 award nominations and nearly 100 wins, including Emmys and Golden Globes, it's clear that Breaking Bad made a big impact on television. Breaking Bad completely changed what TV could be. It built up a huge fan base that was as big as the most popular fan communities in the world. The show's abilities to mix dark humor with gripping drama and its excellent storytelling set a whole new standard for TV series. Its impact was so strong that it even led to a successful prequel, Better Call Saul, keeping the Breaking Bad universe alive and well. Breaking Bad will always be remembered for its iconic moments shared on social media and the passionate fan conventions. Its legacy is solidified in TV history. But when you take a step back and stack up Breaking Bad against heavyweights like The Sopranos and Game of Thrones, it's clear why it stands out. The Sopranos might have laid the foundation of complex anti-heroes, but Breaking Bad took it to a whole new level. Tony Soprano was a groundbreaking character, no doubt, but Walter White's transformation from a chemistry teacher to ruthless Heisenberg? That's next-level storytelling. It was like watching Mr. Chips turning into Scarface, and that's the feel The Sopranos didn't offer. And then there's Game of Thrones, with its huge fantasy world and epic battles. It had its moments, but Breaking Bad stayed super focused, every episode mattered, and the suspense was just non-stop. No wandering off into the side stories here, just pure and intense storytelling that kept you on the edge of your seats. Breaking Bad is not just a great show, but it's arguably the greatest of them all because of its tight storytelling, unforgettable characters, and masterful execution. Let's finish up by talking about the legacy of Breaking Bad and its spin-offs. The show's universe didn't just stop with Walt's story. Better Call Saul and El Camino kept the story going, expanding this gritty world. Better Call Saul has been almost as great as Breaking Bad itself, which shows how awesome Vince Gilligan is. It really digs into Saul Goodman's past, giving us a deeper look at a character we thought we knew pretty well. And then there's El Camino, which gave us a satisfying follow-up to Jesse Pinkman's story. It might not have been as huge as the original series, but it was a nice way to say goodbye to a beloved character. The fact that these spin-offs have been so well received just shows how much we love this world Gilligan created. We just can't seem to get enough of it. And there you have it. Breaking Bad is the best show of all time. Disagree? Let's debate in the comments. And if you love TV as much as I do, consider watching how the boys broke the superhero genre. And don't forget to like and subscribe.